Hi, and welcome to SF Live. I'm your host, Christina Marie Flores. Our guest tonight was appointed by Willie Brown to the Transportation Commission, was a former president of the Police Commission, and now is the city attorney for San Francisco. Please help me welcome Dennis Herrera. Welcome, Dennis. How are you?
Thank you.
Welcome to the studio.
Happy to be here.
Very good. I'm going to get a little idea of how you grew up, where you grew up. I see you grew up in Long Island.
I did.
Long way from San Francisco.
It is, but, in some ways not that much different. I grew up in Bayside, Queens till I was about 6 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to a town by the name of Glen Cove, Long Island, which is about 40 minutes out of Manhattan. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what appeals to me about San Francisco are things that attracted me when I was living in New York. So they're not that dissimilar. The Bay Area is not that dissimilar from Long Island and New York City, and it's a wonderful place to be. I've been out here over 20 years now, so I'm happy.
Over 20 years, yeah. What are the similarities? Would you say that it's just variety of people? Or?
I think that if you look at the cities, I always say that San Francisco is the most East Coast city west of the Mississippi. It's urbane, it's urban, it's dense.
Mm-hmm.
It has culture.
Mm-hmm.
It has all those things, but on a more manageable scale than you have in New York. And then, your suburbs, or the relationship between the suburbs and the city are very, very similar. So I think all those things attracted me, with the added benefit of people here work hard, but they also know how to value their leisure time to a degree
that's
that
a nice way of
folks
putting it.
don't do, I think, sometimes back in New York. So when I came out here, I first came out here for what was supposed to be a summer, and that was just over 20 years ago.
Oh, wonderful. Now, back in Long Island, your mom and dad, where are your mom and dad from?
My dad immigrated to the United States in the late 50s from Bogota, Colombia.
Oh, okay.
And my mom, my grandparents are from Italy. So on that side, Italian-American, and my dad immigrated from Colombia when he was in his 30s.
Wow, Italian-American, Colombian.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
It's a nice combination.
I think so, definitely. And a question, your parents, were they into politics when you were a kid? Did you discuss politics around the dinner table, or?
My dad was always interested in what was going on in the public sphere. He still is. He's 84 years old now, but he still takes an interest.
Uh-huh.
And my mom, not so much, but my dad certainly. And he always, he always said, I think that, because he came from a place where, there was violence attached sometimes with politics, but it was a passion. So I think that, he really tried to get involved and instill in me the importance of being aware of what was going on in the public arena. So we always did have those discussions.
Mm-hmm. And what finally inspired you to get into politics? I mean, did you just decide one day, I think this is the route I'm going to go, or?
No, I had always been, as a kid, always interested in history and politics, and I read a lot about it, and I was a newspaper junkie. I loved following what was going on in world affairs and current affairs. So it was always something that interested me, and I think it was because I realized that it really mattered, and it really, what was going on had a demonstrable impact on people's day-to-day lives. So I went to college, and I was a political science major, and when I came out here, I didn't know that many people. And while I had an interest, part of it was establishing a social network. And I got involved in different political clubs because I didn't know that many people, but I figured, okay, it might be a good way to meet people that are of like mind or like interests. So through that, I met some folks, and then I just got more and more involved politically after I moved out here, both on a local level, a state level, and then a national level as well. So that's kind of how it developed.
So when you first moved to San Francisco, what area did you move into?
I first lived at the corner of Union and Kearny in North Beach. And I loved living in North Beach. It was great, although about 2 in the morning every morning, I'd hear the garbage getting dumped out of the Savoy Tivoli in the back, and it would kind of wake me up. But it was a great area. I loved it. I used to walk to work every day, and I didn't own a car, and it was really wonderful. And then I've moved a couple of other places in the city since then, and I've lived in my house in Dogpatch for more than 15 years. So I bought down there when no one lived in Dogpatch, and people said, where's that?
Right
So,
before the third
oh
Third
yeah,
Street
I
rail
was in there
came in.
before then. Now people like to say, "Oh God, you were so smart and you made such a great." I said, "No, actually, it was the only thing I could afford at the
Okay.
time."
Well, you can
So
say you were just so
no,
smart. I just nodded, yeah.
it would be a lie. So it's been a wonderful place, and now to see it developing and so many families and kids moving in, it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, it's changing, and as so you've been here for quite a while. How have you seen the city change from when you first moved here until you started office?
I think a couple of things. I think that you've seen a change in the demographics of the workforce and what that and with the expense of living here. You've seen, some of the diversity, socioeconomic diversity of folks that live here disappear.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good thing. I think every city, it's a good thing. You have to have folks made up of different socioeconomic groups and different ethnic groups. That's what sort of keeps the cauldron going and keeps everything very interesting. And you maintain that diversity of the city. So I think that, to see how the city's economic base and what drives the economy here has changed and what that's meant for different demographic groups, socioeconomically have the ability to either stay or go has really changed a lot of the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I think that's change is always is a good thing, but you have to be able to adapt. For me, I think that for instance, folks that live in Noe Valley, they say, "Oh, there's always so many kids in Noe Valley." I said, "Well, actually, there are, but only up until you get to be about 3 years old. Once they hit, you see a lot of strollers.
Yeah, you do.
And then when it's 3 or 4 years old, and people looking at, they move. I want to see those kids stay and their whole lives and be part of San Francisco. So I think that's changed a lot of the neighborhood feel of things.
Well, that's funny, and I am a kid of San Francisco, as well as my two daughters. I have two daughters, they're 20 and 18. They grew up here. This kind of segues into my next question. They both, I don't know if you've heard the story, if I told you this, but last Christmas I bought them these red sweaters for Christmas, these red hoodies. And my youngest daughter looks at me and goes, "Why are you buying me a red hoodie? I can't wear this." And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You want me to get shot?" She goes, "I take the mission bus. I'm not going to wear a red hoodie." And it's so incredible right now. What is going on with this city right now with the surge in violence just in the last, 5 years? So it just seems to have picked up. Is there a reason for that?
I think there are a lot of things. To me, it's a big deal. Violence is and crime are not good things. And the thing is, there's been some controversy with respect to my gang injunction program.
Yeah.
And people have said, "Oh, well, it's not a good thing, and it's racial profiling, it's targeting communities of color, it's not a progressive value." And I'm sorry, I don't go along with that. Since when was it progressive for folks not to be able to enjoy safety in their streets, not to be able to go and walk to a school or walk to a park without
Absolutely.
fear of getting shot by a gangbanger? I'm sorry, I just don't think that that's a liberal or progressive value, and I think the vast majority of people, even good progressive people, would agree with that perspective. We all have the right to enjoy our streets free from violence, and what we have seen, I think, has been a real tragedy. I think there are a number of things that have occurred, some of them economic challenges, others a culture of intimidation and fear that we've seen happen in different neighborhoods that have really emboldened folks to engage in criminal activity without fear of retribution. And I don't think that's something we should countenance as a city.
I think that's wonderful. That's true. And in the Examiner today, it just showed that the injunctions are actually working, and the crime has gone down in those areas. And congratulations on that.
Well, I appreciate it, but I said at the time that these are not a panacea. We all have to do our part. The police department, the district attorney, the mayor's office, everybody's doing their part. For me, if I can bring another tool to the table, gang injunctions to help and contribute, well then I'm going to do it. And hopefully that's making a little bit of a difference in those affected areas.
Wonderful. Actually, we have a call. If we could take that call and say, "Hi, caller. How are you? Welcome."
Good, how are you?
Very good. Did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Actually, I've followed Mr. Herrera's champion of the backlash to Proposition 8's passing, and I was wondering where that is going currently.
Okay, if you could speak a little.
We are before the Supreme Court now. We have a hearing before the California Supreme Court scheduled for March the 5th to hear our challenge to the constitutionality of Proposition 8. There have been a number of arguments that have been put forth by both us and our partners in this action, and our argument is that Prop 8 was a constitutional revision, not an amendment, such that the proper procedures weren't followed when Prop 8 was put on the ballot and passed. So we're going to be ready to go on March the 5th, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I think we have a very, very strong case